Hey, all y'all freaks and geeks out there. We are the Square Roundtable. This YouTube channel is a podcast about me and my friends talking about things from video games to comic books to pop culture to everything in between. I am your host, Chad, and these are my co-hosts. Go ahead and introduce yourselves, guys.
He?
And I'm in.
All right. And today we're going to be talking about protests versus COVID-19. Did you want to start up, Dmitri?
All right. Yeah, I think that people are missing or ignoring the COVID epidemic because of how pissed off they are about the police brutality and, how the video of George Floyd went out. So they're just they're kind of like, they rather risk their lives to protest than to shelter in place, I think.
No, yeah, definitely. It's crazy. It just seems like everything came at such a bad time, because we're starting off. Everybody's really in a crazy position because we're quarantining and people are trying to social distance, and pretty much everything has been changing from going to the grocery store to just being able to hang out. I haven't been able to leave my house to hang out with any of my friends or, even eat what I wanted to because, I'm scared of getting the virus, just like everybody else. And then on top of that, now we have these protests going on everywhere in every major city because of the unfortunate passing of George Floyd. And it's definitely terrible. But the biggest thing for me is not wanting to be in a situation where I'm so angry that I pretty much lose my better judgment. And I think what's going on now, especially with protesting, and I think protesting is great, but it's not the best environment to be out there unprotected, still not wearing your PPE, being surrounded by people, not social distancing. It might not be so prevalent now because of how the weather is. It's hot outside, and even though COVID-19 spreads really rapidly, it's not a strong virus. So heat, will kill it, but there's no telling how crazy it's going to get when the weather gets cold outside. Yeah. And everybody, we're going to get hit with that second round of COVID-19, and I hate to say it, but it's going to be wild for everybody that's been out there, protesting every night, and it's going to be a lot of people sick, and it's just terrible. Like, what do you think, Josh?
Well, basically, what I think about it is, I think,
Gather your thoughts, man. Take your time.
Yeah.
It's a long podcast. We got this.
Right. For real. So, you good, man.
Well, I pretty much think the same thing Chad thinks about it. Like, people shouldn't be out doing all the protesting and stuff because the coronavirus didn't go anywhere. And I think having a mask and stuff doesn't really help when you're at a certain angle.
Yeah.
The mask is cool and all, but you can't be 6 feet apart when you're protesting.
Yeah.
You can't.
I mean, and I understand going out there and protesting with in honor of George Floyd and everything that we're going through, but
yeah,
I feel like there's a better way to do it.
No,
like maybe do something on social media because doing something on social media is just as prevalent as doing it in real life.
Yeah, depends on what you do.
Right. Yeah,
because we did the. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Dimitri.
We did the Black Square Solidarity thing on like social media, and that was something. But a lot of people criticized that because it wasn't like we did a lot more. We weren't doing enough. That's what they were thinking is like we could have been doing a lot more, or that's not really affecting the overall change. And it's better to protest and. But I mean, social media is a good tool to get your voice out there, to express what you guys want, and to kind of let the, I guess, the cops and whoever else are above that know that we're not going to just, give up and go back to the status quo.
Yeah, and that's completely true. Like those are both good points that you guys made. And that's the biggest thing for me about social media. Social media proliferates. It gets around, and yeah, it is a safer way to get our point across. Even though it'd be terrible for me to say that I don't want to protest, or I don't want people out there protesting, because yeah, I definitely believe
Of
that
course.
makes a difference too, and I know you guys agree.
Hmm.
But when you get to the other side of it, and like I said, people are out there not being safe, not wearing masks, period, and doing things like promoting like violence and being combative and doing things that can really put you in a bad position where you might not make it home. Certain things like not following protocol, to where if wherever you're at, if they're letting you be out until 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, if they set a 9 o'clock curfew, it's time to go home. You're uh, in a place of safety if they give you a time limit or a time slot to do what you need to do, to stand out there, protest, make a difference. But at after 9 o'clock, man, it's really time to make that move, because it's just, for me, it doesn't add to our cause for us to have more victims that turn into nothing more than a statistic for the situation that we have with systematic racism and police brutality and things like that. It doesn't really help our cause. And like you were saying, Demetrius, with the when we had the Blackout Tuesday on
Yeah.
social media, I thought it was great. But there are people that were saying that that didn't really make a big difference. And instead, I've heard things like people wanting to share pictures of police brutality and pictures of black people uh, dying from it and being mistreated. And I personally, I just don't think that sharing that kind of stuff and proliferating that imagery is nothing positive from that. It's really not. It just, all it does is create a sense of anger and make us even more prone to not use our best judgment and to go out there and act crazy and do something out of passion and really put yourself in danger, man. And I really realize in this situation I might not have the most popular opinion, and I'm not saying that the next guy is wrong that wants to go out there and protest because he feels like his brother, his sister, or he's been mistreated or been treated unfairly by police. I'm not saying that guy's wrong at all. I'm just saying from my standpoint, it just doesn't do me any good to go out there and get killed or become a martyr in a situation that we're now, instead of doing something positive for the black community, like being able to uh, help my younger brother, like Joshua, or show him the right thing to do, to be able to do something with my best friend Demetrius, and put our voice out there in a safe way. I'm not going to be here anymore. Yeah, it's going to be great. Oh yeah, Chad went out there and threw a water bottle, or threw a smoke bomb at a police officer and got shot. Uh, he that was awesome, but it's terrible.
Yeah.
And you don't realize, and to me it's almost kind of selfish, man. You don't realize being reckless like that, what an effect it has on everybody around you. And like I said, we're talking about both. We're talking about a virus and protesting, so putting yourself out there in harm's way either way, and you might not come back from it. That's awful, man. And it sucks what happened to George Floyd. It really did. And it's not just him. It's like everybody else that's been subjected to police brutality. It's just awful. And I wish it wasn't an environment right now uh, I wish we weren't in an environment right now to where we had to also, in the back of our minds, worry about combating a virus that our government doesn't even want to talk about anymore. So, it's
Yeah.
like, it's ridiculous. So, yeah, what were you about to say say something about that, Dmitri?
I have a couple points.
Yeah, go ahead.
To go off of, let me think, or that I'll go off of the one I can remember. To go off the COVID-19, them like not talking about it. I think that they kind of like want to kind of sweep it under the rug, so like we kind of forget about it because like they kind of want us to be protesting so that they can, what do I want to say, so that they can keep reporting about it and saying, "Oh, we're just rioting, we're just rioting, we're just rioting,"
Yeah,
and make us forget, make people forget that there's COVID-19 out there. So like,
yeah,
um, so that we put ourselves in danger like that and stuff like that. But I think that what was I gonna say? That we shouldn't be rioting like that because we're losing the message, or they're
yeah,
not, or our message is being lost. Because I watch the news, frequently because my family does,
yeah.
and they barely talk about the peaceful protesting
Right,
or the message of George Floyd, or even what we want. Like
right,
nobody talks about what we want in this from this whole entire thing.
right.
Like they're just
The
talking
end
about,
game.
oh yeah, they're just talking about the rioting and stuff like that, and
Right,
oh, they're having violent riots in Washington, and the police are fighting back, and they're showing all these videos like you were saying earlier of like people getting hit with rubber bullets and destruction and
right,
stuff like that. And I understand why they're rioting. I get it. I understand the purpose of it. But at what point in time after we've been rioting do we start proposing our what we want, in that
right,
situation? And
right.
also, we need to be more uniform. We need to be either all protesting or all rioting. We can't be dispersed doing separate things because it hurts the movement.
Exactly, man. Great point. Like, it
Yeah.
really does. It hurts the movement because we can't be even killed. We can't be on one band, one sound. You know what I'm saying? We can't be together as a people because there's so many people wanting to go in so many different directions. And that's what I hated about when we were trying to come together for Black Tuesday and have everybody do a form of um, civil disobedience,
Mhm.
something that Martin Luther King stood for.
Yeah.
Civil disobedience of not spending money, not promoting ourselves on social media, just being here for this cause, for this purpose. And people didn't want to do it. You had so many people, and I was really disappointed in a lot of the people out there that are influencers on social media, that are musicians, that are, I'm not going to, of course, call out any names, but, people that have pull, people that have a podium. And I think it's really terrible for you to have a podium and you go up there and spew BS, because regardless of if you're right or not, somebody's going to be like, hey, I'm a such and such fan, and what he or she is saying has got to be right. So this
Exactly.
this is crap. Or what were you saying,
Yeah,
Joshua?
or like not say anything at all, because
Right.
it's like, because you're an influencer that has any kind of pull, then your fans are going to expect you to say something. You shouldn't be
Exactly.
silent
Yeah.
in the whole situation. But there's influencers that do that.
Yeah. No, 100%. There are definitely influencers that are there on the fence and they don't say anything at all. Because they're scared that what they say might hurt their brand. And I've seen this.
That's it. That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. That was
Yeah,
gonna, I was
Yeah.
gonna say my
yeah.
next point. That was my whole
Yeah.
next point.
Exactly. Go
Okay.
ahead, Demetrius. You can expand on that, bro.
So yeah, cause like we all watch YouTube. We all listen to music and stuff like in social media. I've
Right.
noticed that a lot of the people that I've subscribed to don't really talk about it in uh very broad, or like very I wouldn't say broad, but a definitive way. Like
Mm-hmm.
they just kind of tote the line, or they'll put up that, oh, we're in solidarity for you guys, like that. Like, you know how the corporation will put up that we're in solidarity with you, but they won't say anything. They'll just
They
kind
won't
of
say it.
like they're not like Ben and Jerry's who like literally put a whole like big old paragraph talking about like we've been doing, we've been going through oppression for as long as we've been in America. They're
Yeah.
not like that. They'll just be like, oh, we're in solidarity and we're supportive of Black Lives. And I'm like, that's all you're gonna put up there? A copy paste thing you found on like
Right.
on Google? And
Right.
it's just because that they don't want to lose their sponsors and the people that like YouTubers, they don't want to lose their sponsorships and stuff like that, or the brands, they don't want to talk too much out because they might lose somebody that could help them produce something or something like that, or movie stars will lose um, directors, they won't get parts and stuff like that. But I
Right.
like that John Boyega,
Yep.
he came in clutch. I was
Uh-huh.
like, he was like, I don't even care. I was like, okay.
Right.
I,
And you see what happens when you do that. Like Jordan Peele, Lin-Manuel Miranda is backing him. All of these, you
Everybody's
know,
backing him.
all these
But
producers and directors of color are backing this guy. You know?
exactly. Because he stood for that. And then even Mark Hamill, his co-star, is backing him.
See?
Because he said it was bold. And I was like, see, that's what happens when you speak out for something you want and you're not afraid about like the consequences. People take to that, and they're going to
Yeah.
support
Yeah.
you. Like his fans are going to support him even if he got blacklisted. They would have still supported him through that
Exactly. Exactly. You
because he
know,
stood
and
for something instead of being silent.
right. Exactly. Stood for something instead of being silent, you know. But I've seen lately, there's been a lot of that, not just with social media influencers or celebrities. It's been a lot of that on the fence or uh, behavior to where they won't explicitly say what's going on. And there's been a lot of that, just to kind of flip it over and go back to COVID-19. There's been a lot of that with our with our government, you know,
Yeah.
because one of the biggest things that I tell a lot of my friends and colleagues, people that I work with, I don't think that there's been anybody to really communicate uh, this this virus like it should be, to the layman. There's nobody out there that explicitly says, "Hey, you need to wear a mask when you leave the house." Our president won't even say it. Won't explicitly say it. They want
Won't
to
even
use
wear it.
this. Yeah, they want to use this language, and it kind of kills me. They want to use this. Well, you could, maybe, sorta,
If you
kinda,
can.
if you can. Right? It's like
Right.
no,
They want to pretend like it isn't killing people.
exactly. They want to pretend like it isn't killing people, and then I go, and it's kind of morbid, But I want to be the person. I don't like to talk about things that I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
So when I see people, and I do have friends also that aren't taking it seriously, I want to be able to tell them the numbers, of the people that have died. And we've had our government has projected these numbers that they pull out the air, talking about, well, I think that we'll only have like 63,000 deaths from this. And
Yeah.
we're at 110 right now. It's ridiculous and counting. And then there are numbers of people under that, like 900 or so that aren't confirmed.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's crazy. People I was talking about this with my mom. And me and Joshua's mom. People think we're crazy. Because we're not out here. And I've been called crazy, and some of my friends have been looking at me like I'm crazy because I don't want to go out and I don't want to hang out. And I try to be as explicit as possible in saying that it's not because I'm afraid to catch something from them. It's that I might have it, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to look at any of you guys, if I went out and was acting irresponsibly. And because of my actions, somebody got sick.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, I feel terrible. So it's just me looking at documentation, because I've read so many journals about COVID-19, and it's stated, that Wuhan, China has written articles, stating that the biggest thing that will, cease the spread of this virus is quarantine, staying in your house. You know, that social distancing, 6 feet. You know, you can sneeze 10 feet.
Yeah.
When you breathe hard, it goes past 10 feet. So that social distance is 6 feet. I don't even know where they got that from. I have no idea. So it's just like certain things like that. Getting back to the point, I feel like aren't being explicitly uh, put out into the public by our public health representatives, by our president. These things aren't being talked about. And once again, Demetrius, it's like that. Uh, it's like those social influencers or those celebrities to where they're scared of their brand being hurt. Uh, they're scared of, like, the president. He's scared of being held to the fire for something that he said. So he doesn't explicitly say anything. But in not explicitly saying something,
He's
you're
saying
leaving.
something.
He's saying something.
Yeah.
You're saying you're silence, and
Not
that's
saying
another.
something is saying something.
Exactly, man. Just like these people that aren't speaking up about George Floyd, that aren't speaking up about police brutality, your silence says it all. So,
Because
and it's all a mixing pot of BS, man. It really
yeah,
is at the end of the day.
it's just yeah, like not saying something is saying something. It's like if someone asks you a question, it's like if they ask you like, "Oh, did you do this?" and you don't say anything, you don't confirm or deny it, you're still saying something. You're still saying, "I did that," or "This is a thing," or you're still stating making a statement, even if you
Right.
don't. So like we need to get on the same page with the COVID-19 stuff, and at least because I think that the fact that they're reopening stuff is making people kind of go, "Oh, it's gone. Let's go back outside. It's
Right.
cool."
People
Like
legit think it's gone.
people want to go to the beach and and
Right.
go to restaurants again, and I'm like, bruh, like that's crazy. Like
That's crazy.
I'm not going to the beach until like it's cool. Like
I'm not
Right.
going to the beach at all.
so it's like, till
Right.
like I can go outside and I ain't gotta wear a mask, or I can go outside and I gotta start using hand sanitizer right off the cuff, you
Right.
know, and it's crazy because stage 2 doesn't mean, everything's back to normal. It's still, even in stage 3, we're still going to be social distancing. We're still going to be quarantining, here and there when we can. It
Yeah.
just means that they're going to have regulations, and going to a restaurant and eating is going to be kind of hard for the future because like silverware touches mouth, they don't have to clean it, and then you have the servers and that the whole thing. So
Yeah.
restaurants it might be a little risky for a minute.
It really is. And another thing that people just aren't looking at, like, me and Joshua, when we leave the house every day, I have gloves on, mask on, whatever. And I'll say another thing about it, but I want to get this out the way. Uh, you know, a lot of people don't look at this as something that's going to be a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking for that, and that's another thing that's being put out there by the government and all of this, like it's some kind of magic pill. Like, I hear people all the time, well, we're going to get a vaccine, the vaccine's coming, the vaccine. Dude, it takes like forever for a vaccine to get to where we're ready to put this out here on the market. There's got to be so much testing that's done before that.
Yeah.
So many studies that have to be. Oh, were you about to say, Josh?
And even if there was a vaccine, it'll take forever to get to regular people. Like, it's first of all, it's going to be super expensive to get your hands on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You gotta have it for them to at least put you in the door.
Right, and you got to be you. Thank you, and that's another thing. You have to be. It has to be confirmed that you have it. And the last time I checked, the tests that we have barely
Are
work.
are inefficient as fuck. They had I heard the news before. They were like they tested it on like an inanimate object and they had COVID.
Right, like what kind of
like I was
what kind of
like,
shit?
so you tell me this inanimate object has COVID? Okay, cool.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
true story.
a true story, bro. I'm just like, I'm like, what are we out here doing? We got tests that barely work. We're talking about a vaccine that's gonna come out in 2022. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, and people out here acting like it's okay, and then we have public health officials talking about, oh yeah, it's cool, go to the restaurant. And like when it was what was that? What was that? Memorial Day weekend? It
Yeah.
was.
Mm-hmm.
Man, everybody outside, and then I'm thinking somebody's gonna get on TV and just be like, hey guys, what are we doing? We're nowhere near out of the woods, but these guys are on TV talking about, oh well, yeah, they're just having fun. It's okay. Just when you get done having fun, go get tested. Like that's gonna happen. Like, oh, it's just
Like they got enough tests for that. Like they have enough tests to
you
test
know.
everybody. Like we
Right.
barely have tests. Like what you
We
mean?
barely have tests. Like, what is going on, man? It's like it's really ridiculous, man. It's just it's so much going on, man. And like I said, there's nobody here to really communicate what's going on to the people that just don't know. Because I have so many friends, and Joshua, I know you, and Demetrius, I know you feel the same way. That genuinely just don't watch the news, so they really
Yep.
don't know what's going on.
Uh-huh.
Like I've had people tell me that they don't want to watch the news, and like I said, I'm not talking about anybody. Different strokes, different folks. It's okay. You do what you feel like you have to do. It's your prerogative.
Of course.
I completely understand because the news is really so proliferated and filled with like disaster porn and murder porn. It's like every time you turn it on, and it's the really depressing. It is another black guy
Yeah.
gets shot, another child disappears, somebody else has died, um another unforeseen, whatever, everything. There's always something going on in the news, so I understand why people don't want to watch it. But on the flip side of that, when you don't watch the news, you're kind of ignorant to what's going on, and you feel like, hey, I don't see anybody else wearing a mask, so I'm not going to wear one either. And it just it's just not good, man. It's a lot of people need to be more informed, you know
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Or and it's crazy that before this, I just thought people were washing their hands regularly. They went on
Right.
they went on live
I don't
TV and
watch
showed
it.
people how to wash their hands. I was like, so we just not washing our hands. We just walking around with shit on our hands, just doing all kind of shit. Like,
I don't, I don't know
like
how many times I saw somebody walk out the bathroom without putting no soap on their
Right. I mean, it's ridiculous. I think what was it, Josh? Me and you were at a what was that? A James Blake concert, and old dude didn't wash his hands.
Yeah.
Man,
It was just him. It was multiple other people that just came out the restroom and just didn't put any soap on there.
right. So
They just
I
handled
and
their business and walked out the bathroom.
right, and it's a real thing. Like they're literally, we should not have tutorials for how to wash our hands,
I've
people.
seen it like 3 or 4 times on the news, and I don't even watch the news like on TV that much. And every single time I came in, it was like wash your hands like this, and I'm just like, really? We just haven't been washing our hands. Uh,
Right.
I had more confidence in people's intelligence before this. Like I thought people were smart. Like I thought people were at least borderline, like common sense. At least we're
Yeah.
hitting the common sense bar. Nah, we under that bar. People
Exactly, man.
people walk out. I'm gonna go eat some food now. Like,
Right.
like
Yeah.
what?
Like what the fuck, bro? Like man, back when I was working in my lab, man, there were folks like the ladies that we work with. I mean, just coughing and sneezing all over the place, like it's just cool. Like I'm walking, ladies, and I walk right into her cough cloud. I'm like, damn. Well, I guess I got it now. Like, what the fuck?
Right?
It's just like, man. I mean, it's if I'll say this, like if the quarantine, and if this COVID-19 thing is good for anything, it's good for teaching people the basics, like hygiene, and really and I hate to say it like that, but the other part of it is that and I've figured this out through dealing with the people in my home and dealing with others. outside of my home, the other people that I usually wouldn't even talk to every day. It really helps you get a hold of uh, just personal time with one another. You know what I'm saying? Like this quarantine has really helped me spend time with my family, talk to people every day that I wouldn't usually, have a conversation with like that. It's and for people that have kids too, I have friends and they're at home now, teaching their kids, spending time with their kids,
Exactly.
doing stuff they've never had the time to do.
It's bringing families together
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they got stuff like social media, not just social media, but just work in general. It's
Yeah.
just driving people away.
Hmm.
Yeah. Cause I know for you guys, especially like Demetrius, you probably spend more time at your job than you do with, at home with your folks.
Yeah. Yeah, I really do. Most of my day is out working. So,
See?
Exactly.
weekends are great.
Hmm.
They're long, but they're great. Like this COVID got me really stressing these weekends. They'd be like a whole week in their own. So how long
Seriously.
how long they are? Ugh.
Hey, I understand, man. I know me and Josh. Man, Joshua, he'd be working like crazy. I'd be working like crazy. I get up before the pandemic started. My work day started at I had to be at work by like 8 o'clock, 8:30. So I had to be up and out of the house by like 6. And then I'm not getting home until 7:30. And that's when everybody's, going to and I understand because that's the way it works when you work a 9 to 5. You got to be at work most of the time. But I'll say this: it is nice to be able to absorb my family, a lot more, and just kind of be able to slow everything down a little bit. I mean, because just being home, I don't spend no gas money. I'm not up and down the highways. I'm not stressed like I usually was. It's that part of it at least has been, I guess, if you're gonna say a silver lining or something,
A
or what.
positive.
Yeah, the 1%, little bit of positivity, if you're looking for some that you can get from this, is just, being able to be with your family and, be around people that love you instead of being out there, trying to be as far away from your folks as possible. You know what I'm saying? Or being out there working a job to where you never come home. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not intentional. We hang out with people outside of our house, but that's not intentionally most times for getting away from your family. But it
Yeah.
just seems like, you want to go out and you want to socialize with as many people as you can.
Yeah.
And sometimes your family is kind of left in the background of that.
Yeah.
So it's good that we were flipping that to the opposite way with having family being more important, or not more important, but considered are focused more now than
Yeah.
before. So silver lining, and also saving. It's been great.
Right?
I've
Exactly.
been saving like
Exactly, because you don't
I've
have
been saving.
anything to spend money on.
I've been saving like
Exactly.
I'm about to make some money moves, bro.
I'm
Like
telling you, bro, I've been saving that check though. I ain't been spending nothing.
I've
You
been
know.
chilling.
For real, man. For real. So, that at least that part of it has been a little bit of a silver lining. So you know, of course, like everything else, it's terrible that we have to go through this. But, I sincerely believe, man, if we get a hold of it and everybody takes it seriously, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
I really do. I think so. And as far as dealing with police brutality and, you know, for me, it's hard to just kind of pinpoint or rule anybody out as being the one that, of course, it didn't seem like we picked up speed until, the unfortunate passing of George Floyd, but in a way, this is a thing that's been brewing for, for forever. You know what I mean? It's bigger,
Yeah.
Than George Floyd. I mean, he's a part of it. And unfortunately, he's become a statistic of, the era that we're in, with black people being subjected to all kinds of violence and scrutiny. But, this started with, people, taking us from our homes and enslaving us and segregation, and still types of racism that goes on today.
Yeah.
And it keeps building. It builds with your Trayvon Martins. It builds on top of that, and it gets to a point, man, where it's almost unbearable. And I think that that's what happened with Ahmaud, and then George Floyd coming along shortly after that. It was a boiling pot, man. And at that point, the scales just sort of tipped. And I see a
Yeah.
lot of people on television, people that aren't black, uh, talking about how terrible this is, and how it's just awful, and it's anarchy, and it's just craziness, and hopefully this ends soon. But even with that, I think that other of the majority misses that point, because it's uncomfortable for you guys. Yeah, it's uncomfortable for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
We're making it. You can't go into the stores. Macy's is. We done taken everything from Target, and we're making you uncomfortable because we have a curfew, and oh, I want to go to the restaurant, but I can't. No, yeah, it's uncomfortable, but it's uncomfortable for us every day. Like I was telling my friend that me and my brother are, big black men every single day. Demetrius, you're a black man every single day.
Yeah. I mean, it don't ever end for us, man. We
No.
came out the womb with that shit on us.
Yeah.
Right off the
Yeah,
fucking this.
you can't rub. It's not like you can rub it off on nothing.
Yeah,
No.
when you have that talk, when you have that the your black person talk, like your parents tell you, like, it's gonna be hard for you kind of talk.
Yeah.
At a young age, like, you're just like, what? Why? Like, why did it have to be like that?
Right.
You know. And I'm glad that we're finally, like, I think, and I'm gonna like tie together two things because I've heard it, but I think
Yeah.
it's just like the fact that we haven't been able to be distracted because of COVID-19, and
Yeah.
we can't go places, we can't, you can't not think about it,
That's
that it
true.
kind of spiked it up.
That's
So
true. I didn't think of that.
I think that another silver lining of this is that, or COVID-19, is that it got us all like really bothered by it because we were already irritable because we couldn't go places. So it
True.
just stacked on top of that.
True
And so
that.
now we're just like, yeah, this is some bullshit. And I'm telling people, like, I'm like, bro, this is every day for us, man. Like, shit, you can't go places, man. We get looked at for going to a store sometimes, followed around.
Exactly, but
Right.
I had
my thing is, even with the protests and stuff, uh, people that are upset that they can't go anywhere are now going somewhere because they're leaving the house to do the protest. So while you're out doing a protest, might as well pick up some McDonald's on the way.
yeah.
Right.
Might as well feed that habit you got.
Yeah, just makes
Right.
I mean, it's the same difference.
It's
Driving out
just
somewhere to do a protest, so why not pick up some French fries?
yeah, pick up that fast food you're gonna eat anyway, you know?
Yeah, and that's just it, man. That's the perfect example of it right there. Just mixing those two topics in together. You know, it, it's like we're not going uh, out to protest and then going back home. We're going out to protest and then hanging out after the protest, and oh, let's go get something to eat before it, and do all this and do all that, and it just turns into a thing where once again, we're not paying attention to the other part of it, that we're currently also in a pandemic.
Yeah.
But like
It's
you
like
were saying, oh, go ahead, John.
yeah, it's like an excuse to be social, to like hang out with your friends and stuff. Cause like you said, Chad, like instead of people going home, they're trying to have a party or go to their their girlfriend or boyfriend's house and do all this other stuff. So it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's more of a, what do they call it, a trend or a fast or a trend or a not, yeah, trend. Trend's a better word for it. It's like they're using it to be social and be trendy and stuff like that, and instead of like actually taking seriously and going out and protesting and then going back home, or you know, like distancing yourself or figuring out a way to do it where you can not be all together like that. Like they're just
Exactly.
using it
Like
to
they take
gather together.
exactly like they take the protest out of it. It's not a protest anymore. It's like a party.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and that's the other part of it that I'm kind of iffy about. Is just like the message gets skewed, because you're out there and you're trying so hard to get that perfect action shot, or
The photo
that
op.
that perfect photo op, so
Yeah.
you can get a million likes on your picture because you got a snapshot of you struggling with the police or something. Because I saw it the other day. A couple of people got pictures of them uh being manhandled by police officers, and of course they get 500-600 likes. But my thing is, what if you didn't get home to post that picture? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And that's that part of it for me. It's just like it turns quickly into some BS, and you miss the point of it, and you just, you put yourself, like I always say, put yourself in a position to, be unsafe, or put yourself in a position to where you won't return home
Yeah.
to put that post on Instagram.
Right. They use what's going on for publicity.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And the
Yeah.
message
Great.
gets lost. Like what? Like can you find that quote that everybody uses, Demetrius?
Oh, you're talking about the MLA quote where there's like where they say riots are the voice of the unheard. All
Right.
right, and the rest of that quote says that we shouldn't use riots because they're destructive. That's the rest of it. But I
Yeah.
have it's all over social media and everybody puts up the first part of it, but they never put the context. I'm like, oh, MLK said it. I'm like, but he said we shouldn't do it because it
Right.
loses the message. Like
Right.
put the whole thing, and then he go, and then there's a video if you guys want to look it up where he talks about it for like 8 minutes about it, and he even
Yeah.
expounds a little bit more about it. He's like, we don't need to be. That's something that we don't need to be doing. We need to try to, in a way, say be better than them. Show them a better way. Don't stoop to their level, kind of in that sense.
Right.
And I mean, it's easy to riot and break something. I can just pick up a brick and throw it into somebody's window. I just rioted. I just did it. But it's different. It's difficult to like to be peaceful when you're very very mad
When you're very
and
angry.
anger
Yeah.
and you don't feel like you're being heard. It's very very hard to do that. It's a harder. It's seen. I guess you could say it's seen as I guess stronger because you're not stooping to their level. You could easily be very violent to the police, and really turn this into some kind of like gang related thing or like I wouldn't say a race war, but like a gang related thing. I feel like easily,
Yeah.
but you know, the way things are going now, it feels like people are trying to work their way up to that because I've heard a lot of things of I think I think I saw a post from the Black Panthers, or I
Hmm.
think they're the Neo Black Panthers and something like that, and they're
Yeah.
saying they want to weaponize all the black people,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
man.
I mean, I don't know if that's the right position. Like
Mm-mm.
my my right of like me on guns is like I'm in the middle. Like like I'm like you want to get a gun, strap up, protect yourself. I'm not gonna like stop you, but like at the same time, like get it for the right reasons. Don't get it. Don't get it to be I don't know violent. Be a violent person or go out there and do violent stuff. But if you need to protect your home, then like I guess
And my
Right.
thing is,
Like buy it for
Demetrius. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
well, like like I was saying, well, I don't really like guns at all because
yeah
buying one for your safety means you're gonna eventually use it in a situation that you'll need to shoot someone with
yeah
something.
mm-hmm
So
totally
all in all, like I don't really. I mean, I don't know. I think guns themselves is just they shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, in a just and peaceful world, they wouldn't be a thing. But we're just not in that kind of mindset. And when someone else has a gun, someone else is going to want one to protect himself from the person with the gun. So it's a
Yeah, and I mean
Yeah.
for that it's I mean that's where it gets scary, guys, because it's like there's a lot of people out there, and I commend them so much. Like you see, what I put on social media. There's a lot of people that genuinely care about our cause, and by our cause I mean like black people, brown people, people of color. Like I'm a science advocate, I'm a STEM advocate, I'm a scientist. So I'm big on promoting black scientists, or promoting anything that's black, and I think that's great. I think that's amazing. But for all of those people, there are also a bunch of people that are just out there running their mouths and have no freaking idea what they're talking about.
yeah,
And to be out there and say that you want to arm colored people, my thing is like, against what? What are you going to go up? Who are you going to go up and shoot? One of those soldiers that are armed to the teeth, that are trained to kill? Like, what are you gonna do? Like, that's what kills me about these people, man, that want to go up to these police officers that are, and these soldiers that are trained to attack. It's like, that are skilled in combat. What am I gonna do? I don't know nothing about a gun, man. I shot a gun one time at a shooting range, and I was scared. I ain't no gangster, man. So what you gonna do? Hand me a gun to do what? Go up and get shot? No. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
If you
I
hand me a
must
gun,
say,
I'm gonna hand it right back to you.
or I'm gonna hand it right back to, like, that sounds great. That's a great line under a post, and it might get a billion likes. Let's arm black people, arm the innocent, arm the homeless. That sounds great. But in reality, guys, what is that really gonna do in a situation where our president is willing to incite a riot just so he'll look good on TV?
Yeah.
Black people weren't we people out there protesting that day weren't doing anything, nothing wrong. It was a completely peaceful protest, but the president had all kinds of soldiers and police officers armed to the teeth like we're fighting a war,
yeah,
and incited a riot, told them to use force to get those people out of there just so it can be, you know, a big riot while he was having his speech. So we're in a if we're in a situation where somebody's willing to potentially put us in danger like that over nothing, what do you think's going to happen when we go out there guns blazing? It's going to be a massacre, man.
yeah,
Like, it's going to be ridiculous. Like, that's, and when you put ideas like that in people's heads that aren't thinking clearly, and don't have they just don't have the capacity for critical thought. They just don't want to do it. They're just like, yeah, they just and rely solely off of passion, and they go out there, you're gonna get somebody killed, man. Like,
yeah,
we're gonna lead and add to another statistic that didn't have to happen, and it's just it's really crazy. It's regressive behavior. It really is. It is not taking us forward at all, man. That kind of stuff is just, and I understand because it's bad, because there are outliers. I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and I made the comment that, in most situations, you shouldn't put yourself out there to be in a situation where you might get reprimanded by a police officer, because I've never put myself in that kind of situation, and I know my brother hasn't, and I know we haven't either, Demetrius. But
yeah,
I do realize there are a lot of outliers and people that just are are wicked, aren't nice people at all, and they want to cause destruction, and they definitely target young black men and women for nothing.
Yeah.
That is completely true. But I just don't think, with everything in me, that violence is the answer. I don't think bloodshed and losing wives, grandkids, mothers, sisters, aunties, somebody's gonna lose a loved one, man. And I don't condone that at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't beat out, and I'm paraphrasing, you can't beat out darkness with darkness. You can only beat out darkness with light. So you have to use a more peaceful approach if you want to get rid of all the wicked stuff. You can't just go, I'm gonna use violence on this violence, because then you're just causing more violence. It's not
Yeah.
changing. It's like trying the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. You're not going to do anything. You're just going to perpetuate it further down the line to where it will be another statistic. Someone else will die, or it gets worse for us.
Right. You got anything to add, Josh?
Well, not really. I pretty much covered all the bases.
Well, one question I'm gonna pose to you guys. What what would you guys have for a closing remark, like a take home for our listeners for today's podcast?
Hmm.
Well, as like a take home remark would be uh, just stay inside because COVID-19 is still very much active, if not more active than it's ever been. And me being black, and knowing all the injustice going on, I want to get out there and protest as well, but I don't want to put myself in a compromising situation where I could possibly get sick
Yeah.
because even if I could get a cure or something, there's definitely a queue for it. There's a queue, and I'm not going to be one of the first people on the list.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the hospitals are packed. I'm sure they're still packed.
Totally.
They are. They are.
So I don't. My chances aren't looking real good for me. So stay inside as much as you can, or totally, because you wouldn't be losing either way. You'd be winning.
Yeah.
Right.
So be a winner.
True that. What about you, Demetrius?
Don't be a loser. Be a
Uh,
winner.
I think that if you feel it in your soul to go out there and protest, you really just want to do something and you really want to protest, wear your damn mask. Like, wear a mask. Take the precautions. Don't go out there without a mask on. And realize that there's other ways to show your support than protesting. You can donate. Be active on social media. Push the message forward. Talk to the people and your governors or whoever the people are in charge of supposed to talk to get push things put on bills and stuff like that. Like, there are other ways to do it without having to be out there protesting. And don't use protesting just for like a photo op or just say, oh hey, I support you. I was out there protesting. Don't do that. Like, don't do it
Right,
for likes.
right.
Don't do
Respect
it
the
for
move.
likes. Yeah, don't do it for likes or
Respect the move.
fame. But other than that, yeah, if you don't want to go out and protest, understand there's other ways to do it without making yourself feel like you're not really contributing.
Right.
Right.
And the last thing I'll say before we wrap up this evening, you know, just like so many others out there, I'm not trying to separate myself from the pack, because Demetrius, you have a little brother,
Yeah,
Joshua, you have a little cousin, cousins, and I'm posed with a task, just like a lot of people out there. I have to be, and that might be why I overthink things and I'm overcritical about a lot of things, because I have to set an example for my brother, for my little cousin,
yeah,
and as much as I want, and I want to drive home that point that everybody here is uh, is on board with protesting. Like we really are. I think that that peaceful protesting definitely makes a difference. I definitely think it brings people together. Um, and it makes a statement, but it has to be done right. And for me, in this type of this place that we're at right now, it as much as I want to protest, it will be completely irresponsible for me to drag myself out there, and my brother's gonna want to follow me, and my cousin's gonna want to follow me, and put them in a position. And that's what I want my our viewers to think about, because I've seen so many times little kids that are out there at these protests,
Yeah.
and parents that bring their little kids, and all of this. You know, what's an 8-year old know about injustices, racial injustices? You know, what's a
That,
10-year old know about racial injustices? You know,
and another
I
thing.
saw this, huh?
Oh, not to interrupt you,
No,
Chad,
go
but
ahead.
another thing. Um, even if you do have your kids out there, why aren't they wearing a mask?
And why exactly? And why aren't they wearing masks? And that's the biggest thing I didn't want for my little brother and for my little cousin. I didn't want to be out there and be so heated and so in the moment that I forget what's, I forget to protect my peoples, man, and to
Yeah.
put my folks in the position to be successful. And because, you can, it looks cute, it's nice having your little kids out there that can barely say their ABCs, but they're on there, no justice, no peace, no just. I mean, that looks great, but I just don't believe in putting somebody that's at risk, that can't fend for themselves in danger. And, I can't be on my platform and be on our platform and tell anybody what to do with, their life and what to do with their children
Yeah.
and, what to do with themselves. But I think the take home for what all of us wanted to say in this podcast is just to be safe, guys.